Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my buddy Paul Campo, and we're going to be talking about how to become an expert at follow-up. There's a lot of people that do it wrong, and we're going to talk about the right ways today. So Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, good to see you, buddy. So before we kind of jump into this, I think a lot of real estate investors don't have patience for a lot of things, and probably historically copywriting is one of those, right? And so they know that follow-up is important, but they're real quick because a lot of real estate investors are probably more people cut out of the kind of sales cloth. Like they just want to move on to the next lead. Like they said no, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. Of course, they all in the back of their mind know that the money's in the follow-up, but they just haven't necessarily put the right pieces in place to do follow-up. So I'm excited. That's what we're going to talk about today, is a lot of ways that folks listening to this can dramatically improve their follow-up processes. You don't have to be an expert copywriter. It doesn't hurt if you are, for sure, but we're going to talk about that today. But before we dive into that, like, how did you get into this space? Like, tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah, so I started off investing, started off wholesaling back in like 2015, 2016 in SoCal. So SoCal is a hard market, probably harder than it was. Today is probably harder than it was when I started. But yeah, I mean, so I struggled like a lot of people. I came from blue collar. I was blue collar up until 2021. Just ditch digger. We worked pipeline construction, dug holes, welded, all that good stuff. And it was, so I had no sales background, but I remember sitting in my Lancer because I had to leave the house. We had babies screaming, so I couldn't follow up with my leads. And I was doing direct mail. I was doing lots of door knocking foreclosures and probate leads in like the worst parts of Pomona, California. So I was getting leads, and I had to follow up because I mean, magic in the follow up is this cliche you hear. I mean, I've heard for over 10 years. So I'd go to I had my list in Podio. I used Podio back then, but by the way, I've been in like 20 different CRMs today. So if anybody wants,
You're not alone.
yeah, if anybody wants to know what's good or bad, send me an email. But anyway, in Podio back then, because that's all there really was, or there was like spin-offs of Podio, kind of like how people are doing Go Ahead Level today, and I just have my list. Okay, I have 30 people I got to follow up with, and I just go down the list. I'd be in my car because I had to find somewhere quiet away from the house, and I would go through the list, but I would hit like some sellers and be like, okay, yeah, Mrs. Sally here. I spoke with her 3 weeks ago and she didn't seem like she's ready, so I'll just skip her this week and then go on. And my feelings would definitely get in the way of following up. I never had a system or structure or anything like that. So long story short, I flipped land successfully. I flipped mobile homes successfully. But then at the same time, I realized I wasn't really good at this whole marketing stuff or sales stuff. So I actually ended up by accident getting a copywriting role at Carrot, at carrot.com with Trevor Mock. And it was just my first time getting into it. And I like dove into this whole rabbit hole of copywriting. And I learned that was early on. And kind of long story short, I ended up taking on more clients, doing stuff like writing direct mail packages, selling hotel developments. That was cool. That was fun in Vegas, and doing different off-wall stuff. But I realized that the whole follow-up game kept coming back to me. Meaning, investors were coming to me. One of my first clients was Adrian, which he passed away years ago in COVID. Of Carrot, and hey, he's telling me, hey, I think copywriting is just an unknown in the whole real estate investing world. Can you help me build a whole system, a follow-up system, drip sequences, things like that. I said, sure. And that was like my first avenue into it and just launched it. And then more and more people were asking me about it. And so I created this system of follow-up called Hungry Drip for investors because I've secret shopped a lot of people, a lot of investors, and 9 out of 10 times there's a lot of holes in their follow-up. And so yeah, that's kind of the long story short of it. There's a lot more to it, but had an info publishing business. I had a podcast, but I'm here now. I'm still a copywriter. I'm still doing OmniDrip. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, a lot of people confuse kind of sales and marketing, right? Or most leads come from marketing, then they put on their sales hat, but they never put their marketing hat back on. They just kind of like try to sell them, and maybe if they follow up, it's still like, did you sell the house yet? Like it's still like a sales kind of thing. So let's talk about like your beliefs on sales versus marketing.
Yeah. So they're a side on the same of the same coin, right? They're two different sides of the same coin, and so they still have the same principles, the same maybe not strategies, but the same principles behind them. It's just that how you use them is differently. What happens, I think, is for Mark when people are designing a follow-up system or drip sequences or content, articles, text messages, emails, which we all do with OmniDrip, they still have their sales hat and they ask direct questions throughout. Hey, are you still interested in selling? Hey, do you still want to get an offer? Things like that. 10 different spin-offs of that. Those are in marketing, those are just asking for handouts. They don't give any value. They don't differentiate you from the other person. Um, 60 to 80% of sellers that fill out your form or call you, whatever it is, however they reach out to you or say yes on a cold call, like 60% or more, they're not going to sell right now. Whatever circumstance is keeping them from doing it. So what we do until they sell, it's crucial for our brand. What do we do for our branding? What are we doing to give value, to give benefits, give them reasons why to use you, or else if you don't, you're just becoming a commodity. It's just like you can't be remembered, and they just move on to the next person.
Right.
So that's where marketing comes in. It's building value, branding, etc. Throughout their journey until they actually are ready to sell.
Yeah. I've always said like, to the importance of follow up is we're marketing to people that honestly, if I look back at all the deals I've ever done, like a very high percentage of people were distressed for many, many years, if not decades. Like there's people that hadn't updated their house in 20, 30 plus years, right? And so they've been distressed for decades or years. And we expect them to make a decision right now, right? And so they basically said another way, the reason they're distressed is because they are procrastinators. Like they either made bad financial choices and couldn't get out of it, or they made bad decisions on in life and just couldn't get out of it, right? They just kind of kept kicking the can down the road. They're very good at kicking the can down the road. Why would they sell today? Like the odds of it is very slim. And so, but it's like go on a ride with them because it's inevitable. It's coming. It's just a matter of is it going to be next week, next month, next year, or another 10 years from now, right?
Yeah.
And so you already have that relationship, and most people you already know are going to be just like you said, like, how much do you want for this dump? I'll write you a contract right now, pay cash and close in 20 days, whatever. They're like, everybody says that. So how are you going to be different? It's like, get in the car with them. I mean, don't, you probably don't want to live in the house with them, right? But like ride alongside of them via follow up for as long as it takes for to become that trusted advisor so that when the time comes, you're they've handpicked you already.
Yeah, so there's a saying, right? You can't change somebody from unmotivated to motivated, and that's true always. But the other side of that is, I've seen many times where we do move a procrastinator into now the lane of okay, let's take action,
Yeah.
um, and it's from the copy not like I get all the time like when I was just shopping for life insurance not too long ago. Again, for a different one, and man, I fill up like three different forms from people, and it's just like then when I fill out the form, my life moves on. I'm like, okay, I did that. Now I'm gonna go. I have other fires to put out. My cat, I need to go take him to the vet, my kids, school, whatever it is. And I'm getting pestered with, hey, are you still looking for life insurance? Are you still looking for a quote, etc. And it's like, oh gosh, like these guys are annoying as hell. Let me put them aside now. Yeah, I kept pushing them aside because it was just annoying as all heck. And so, um, but I have seen when we go into our clients' CRM, dive in, look at like activity. Okay, this deal was found in this trip sequence, and look at what's happening. I do see, and I have some case studies when people sign up in my email list, showing people like who are procrastinating. All of a sudden, they go, okay. I'm convinced. Let's move on and let's move forward. And
Yeah.
so, and it's through messages that drive the pain, that kind of subtly drive the pain, drive the problem. Because some of my sequences that we do, I have about 25 plus sequences that we add into somebody's CRM. Um, some of them are broken into landlord, vacant house, or owner occupant because with that, I can kind of target subtly some of the problems that they're going to be facing, right? And sort of the vacant house being a liability, or maybe if it's an owner occupant, they have a bunch of stuff they got to deal with, whatever it is. So I want to try to, in every email and every text message, remind them of one benefit or one problem solution that we can keep pushing and nagging them with. Not nagging that in a bad way, but reminding them of it. And that has helped push them over the procrastinators over that line. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit because I think a lot of people that have written follow-up sequences or have those in place often are just like, "Hey, was just thinking about you. Is your house still available for sale, or have you sold yet?" It's kind of that more of that kind of sales arm. But the marketing side, you can talk about what I know you call objection-based emails. So, or it's kind of telling stories and things like that, right? It's like here's how we just help somebody, which, like you said, if you could segment them down to what their issue, like they're a tired landlord or they're getting divorced or whatever, is you kind of take people down a path of like, let's talk about other people that have been in your shoes and maybe ultimately how we help them solve that problem, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's a few strategies we use. Like the simplest one that somebody can do today, that's probably the easiest one to do, is just taking one benefit that a lot of investors, and same thing with me years ago when I started, they take for granted that the other person on their side doesn't really know what your cash offer brings. They just keep splurting out. We just keep splurting out cash offer, cash offer. It doesn't really mean anything in of itself. The reason why this business works, why selling at a, or buying at a discount works, is because there's some sort of value behind that offer that does a lot more than just the money, right? I remember the biggest lesson that I took from this old school investor back in 2015, 2016, when I was really struggling. He took me aside, this old school investor you won't find on social media or any of that. Um, he took me aside and said, hey, write down 100 different ways that you benefit a seller. Okay. Because as a noob, what's going through my head constantly, not as a noob, I think for a lot of people, is it's all about price. And for these type of people that we're dealing with, it's not about price. Um, so I didn't reach 100. I think, maybe I reached 20 or 50. I don't remember. But that was a huge. I mean, I didn't know at the time. It was a huge sales and copywriting lesson for me because now that's all fodder that you can use in your marketing, in your presentations, etc. As a salesperson, you have the benefit of when you're face to face, you can hear the problem. You're asking the right questions. You can hear what's really going on behind the scenes, and then you can leverage that, right? Marketing, we don't have that advantage as much. So we have to pull from I have to pull from what's going on in the market today. I kind of do some little guesstimate here. So with our sequences, I don't do like divorce. You mentioned divorce. Some of those stuff I don't do. The only like situations I really do is foreclosure and probate. I door knock those leads quite a bit, and the only reason why I do those two is because that's a very long term type of sequence. Very long term sales cycle, I should say. It's going to take them months. And so I'm getting a lot of value up front. We plug in a bunch of different articles because we want to drive traffic back into the website. And that's another actually lesson I should bring up is that follow-up is multimedia. It's stacking on different layers of touches. It's not just a text message, hey, you're still interested in selling, but it could be a text message that sends them back to your website because there's something interesting in that text message about an interesting article. The email does the same. It drives them back to traffic, and we can do some retargeting there. Um, and direct mail, and we implement direct mail into it, follow up direct mail. So it's a whole host of different strategies for
Yeah.
touching
Because
base.
I think people appreciate that. I mean, I know I'm not, I've said in the past, I hope I never have to sell my house to a dude like me. So I hope that I'm never the avatar of the people that we buy houses from. And I've made plenty of mistakes and bad decisions in life, but overall I've made some good ones too that will hopefully keep me out of that realm. But I will say that I want to buy from people that I feel go above and beyond in the sales and marketing process to hear me and add value to me. Like sometimes I'll just buy from people because they did a good job of selling me. I don't really need it, but like I want to reward them. It's weird. It's not like it's a logical thought. It's almost just like it's this reciprocity that's like this person heard my issues. They stayed a little bit longer and listened to me. They kind of pulled some things out of me that nobody else even asked about. And then they keep sending me some information on like what's going on in my market and what's going on in the stock market. I mean, it could be anything, right? It's just like they went out of their way to kind of add some effort. And by the way, it could all be automated for all the average person would know, and it is, right? Usually, but it just makes a difference, and it's kind of hard to quantify it, but it's real.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to quantify. It's definitely hard to measure too, right? So like, so people are infatuated with like, oh, is it this text message that did it? I was like, that's not necessarily this one text or this one email. I've had clients who objected to using email because like, oh, we don't get a lot of response with email, and it's like that's not the point. Because I have another case study showing that like some deals that were captured from an email that was sent, and then but the person he opened it, the seller opened it, and then but responded via a text message. So they sent a text message instead. So if you look at it with pure KPIs and measurement, it's like, oh, what, he didn't respond to the email. He just he responded to a text.
Right.
Um, but it's still it like he doesn't even have to open the email for it to still have an effect um because it's still showing up in the inbox. They still see the brand showing up in the inbox. So it's all this multi-layered that it's really hard to measure. I think that's how you and I continued our relationship. I'm actually maybe I might be like tooting my own horn here, but you're one of the few people I actually can contact and you'd actually respond back via email or text message. And we've known each other for a while now. But I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, Mike Hambright, he's a guy that's really hard to reach out to." It's like I never had that issue, and I remember
Huh.
my podcast. I think we just one of the things that I would do, and something that I do with OmniDrip as well. Is I like sending thank you cards and or I think I sent you my book after a podcast. I sent
Yeah.
something. I usually send packages as a thank you. And with OmniJump we still continue to do that. Meaning we try to implement automated direct mail like thank you cards stuff like that. Imagine setting an appointment with somebody and you sending them a thank you card for setting that appointment with them. I think that goes a long way. So.
Yeah, I think, not to get too far off on a tangent, but I obviously own a marketing company as well that does a tremendous amount of direct mail for Investor Machine. But I think that people don't really, we talk to people all the time. We're like, mail drives people, and so do other things, but mail drives people online to look for you. Like if any major purchase that I ever buy, I go online to research it or see if I can find it cheaper or whatever it might be, right? And so just because I don't call the number that's on the mailer, and we found that it's best to not have your email, your website on the card because you want the call to action to be a phone call. Because if they go search for you online, they also might find your competitors, right? Uh, but we know that it works. So when people are, what happens is if people start doing direct mail, for example, then all of a sudden their SEO gets better, and it's like It's not the SEO. Did you do anything different with SEO? They're like, no, it's just like must be finally hitting after all these years. Like, no, they got driven there from mail. I mean, or something else, TV even, right? And so it's like all these layers are important, and you do need to track your kind of ROAS, but you need to give attribution sometimes to other channels as well. And so, in fact, some good friends of mine, John and Amy Nolan, that created Pete, which is a CRM, like one of the best CRMs out there for real estate investors. Um, Built that in to give attribution to multiple channels, because if sometimes you're like, this channel's not working very well, it's like, yeah, but you're not giving it total attribution for it benefited other channels as well, right? It's the same thing as with TV. Like a lot of people say, I don't TV might not be working well, and it's like, well, it makes your pay per click better, it makes your SEO better, like everything seemingly works better because it's just a layer. Like they didn't maybe contact you through that way, but all of a sudden you planted a seed and they went to find you somewhere else.
Yeah, and I would add onto that that with the follow up with the ROAS, you're going to be following up with 60% of these leads that are responding to TV or whatever it is. Um, but the follow up is probably the cheapest way to, and this is like a whole Dan Kennedy principle, right?
Right.
You have people in your database already that already contacted you in some way, so you filtered out, so you know that this is more of a qualified person, and it's the cheapest way to
You've
it's
already paid for it.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, you already paid for it. Cheapest deal, cost per deal there. So yeah, might as well use every ammo, every gun in your armory there to follow up with them. So
Yeah. What are some, we talked about objection based email. So it could be that if they were a tired landlord, you could say, evictions are getting, send an article on how evictions are getting harder. And so they're like, it's almost just like rubbing a little bit of salt in the wound, right? But what are some other things that you can do to provide reports or articles? It could be your own blogs, quite frankly, right? But other things to make this easy for folks that you want to do it themselves.
yeah, yeah, I mentioned objection based because well, how I set up the sequences is based off pipeline. We actually number our sequences from one to whatever the end is 25 because in the first one is our initial like, hey, we got that lead in. This is our very first touches. And then as the pipeline goes through time, you have things that happen. So you have appointments are set, you have appointments that are missed, you have person tells you, offers too low, or maybe you assume that because maybe they're ghosting you after a certain while. You have them tell you that they're going to fix the house themselves. You have them tell you, hey, we're just going to hold off on right now. Hey, we're going to keep the house ourselves, etc. Hey, we're going to list on the MLS. Those are all I'm bringing up all these objections or reasons. Well, what's the if you look at and I have a demo that shows like this, this graph. You have this perfectly straight line from capturing the lead to deal close, but you have most of the time 6% have been veering off in different directions. So with that information, I can use that for copy. So if it's a landlord that says, or if it's just a person that says, I'm gonna fix the house myself, perfect. That's great, awesome. Go ahead and do that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send them some pieces that actually show them like, hey, these are the five top rehab items to get you the most bang for your buck. Hey, just letting you know that you should let your insurance know about fixing your house because a lot of times if anything happens, they won't cover it. Hey, make sure you use be careful with contractors leaving liens on your house. Little tips like that. I call them tips campaigns. That's a perfect sequence or objection to having a tips campaign.
Yeah.
Most of the time, half of them, more than half, aren't going to really fix the house
Right.
themselves. 3, 4 months going to drive, and then just like,
And it rubs a little salt in the wound too, because the time goes by and they're like, man, I haven't done any of this.
yeah,
Right. And
yeah.
they're just like,
And you're subtly, you're not like, you're not, hey, did you fix that house yet?
right.
It's more subtle, like, here's some value for you if you are fixing your house over and over again. So
Yeah.
it's a subtle, it's rubbing salt in their wound, but it's not making you the,
Yeah. It's not rock salt. It's like,
yeah, you're
it's
not
so
the
funny.
source of it. You're actually trying to give them some treatment for it, for that pain. And
Yeah.
so, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just one example. I mean, offer too low is another one. If they stop, if they you send them a contract and they never sign, and just goes through them. That's another sequence we add in. Um, yeah, there's, like I said, we have like 20, 26 and different situations and things like
Yeah.
that.
So let's talk about the frequency because I know there's some people that follow up. This is every business, right? I mean, um, I see it all the time. Like I'm a consumer, like most of us are, but I'm like, you know, I've got my finger on the trigger all the time, ready to buy something. I'm like, I'm not very good at not buying stuff. But so I'm just looking for like, so I'm a student of the game too because I think follow up is important. I'm a business owner. I think of all these things, right? And it's so often that I follow up that I call somebody and to buy. I'm not talking about real estate, just anything, and they don't answer the phone. And then most often they don't even follow up with me. Or if I do talk to somebody, like I would say 80 to 90% of the time, anything that I call to inquire about, they have zero follow up process, like zero. They're not even call, even if it sounds like I'm ready to purchase, they'll never call me again if I don't call them. It's crazy, and that's why I think most small businesses could easily double their profitability just by having somewhat of a follow up process, right? And then the other thing is, even people that I do end up buying from, that it's a repeat situation, like I could buy from them again, they don't follow up with me. It's like they're not even like asking for more business. And like I said, I like to buy from people that I feel like puts the effort in. I also like to not buy from people that didn't put any effort in to get my business again. I'm like, screw them, I'll go somewhere else. But let's talk about the frequency of follow up, and maybe let's kind of start with frequency and see where that goes.
Yeah. So it depends on where they're at in the funnel. In the funnel, I like to say, I like to break it into threes. We have the beginning of the funnel, mid funnel, and then the end of funnel when the deal is closed. I'm still following up after the deal is closed because there's still something to gain from it. There's still a
Yeah,
review and there's still referral to gain from it, which I think 90% of the people I deal with don't have that set up yet until, I mean, even at like automation is bare minimum. I'd rather have them be more manual, intentional about, and we do set up tasks to get that review, get that referral, whatever it is, and it's I mean, even if you know, hell, it's unheard of to hear about sellers referring people over. You don't hear that too much,
right.
um, but I mean, it's something really
It
simple.
happens.
Yeah, it's
I've had
so
it happen for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's so easy to add into an automation, and if you're doing 100 deals per year, I mean, and you get, one to two referrals out of it, it's well worth at least putting it into an automation, right?
Yep.
Into your process. So frequency, going back to the top of funnel, mid funnel, end of funnel, I'm going to be a lot more aggressive top of funnel. So somebody who enters into the sequence, I'm like I have a sequence I call Digit Stopper. Yeah, that one's for digital leads, and the whole intent is like my understanding and is that these people are shopping around. You're not the only person that. So I'm trying to stop them from shopping. Okay, so it's pretty frequent, and so when I say frequent, I'm talking about maybe at least like just probably there's like 7 steps in one day. 7 steps in one day. So each step can be it's a text messages, emails, tasks for calling. At least 2 tasks for calling in that same day when a lead comes in and fills out a form. And I even have instructions to call from a different number. And so the text message and emails, they all flow. They're all conversational. They're not too disrupt. They're not too annoying. They are disruptive, and it means that like I'm trying to get into their inbox and trying to pattern interrupt what they're doing. Um, but I'm highly the cadence is pretty aggressive, not in a bad way, but in a pattern interruptive way in the beginning. Then it starts slowing down. Like somebody who's been in my system for a month, 2 months, the frequency is maybe like every it'll probably start every 5 days, then every 2 weeks, and then the longest that I go for is probably a month. And I
That's the
usually
longest you go for, like long term nurture. You ended a month.
the most is like 60 days. It's like if somebody who's not really interested at all, who hasn't responded,
Yeah.
like the most is going to be 60 days.
Okay.
You can do it sooner than that. So like that's just automation, right? But you can be more intentional about your follow-up. It's something that I try to get my clients to do. We don't have a service for this yet, but is there's no reason why you wouldn't create like a monthly newsletter for people that's going like just like how realtors do it. They have a newsletter, what's going on in the market. It works really well in every other single business. We've done newsletters, we've done weekly newsletters for different industries. I've done newsletters, I should say, not we. It works. It works great on metrics. It works great on branding. There's no reason to do that. So something monthly. So 60 days, yeah, that's like 60 days is the most. There's very few. I think there's only one sequence, which is our like this is like a dead lead almost. I would do 60 days, but everything else is about 30 days.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I've always said follow up forever type mentality. Of course, they start to get more general and generic as time goes by, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can follow. Yeah, you can follow. Oh. I mean, so you're asking about when it ends? No, I don't end it in 30 days. No,
okay.
no, no. Sorry, that's the gap in between the last time you
Oh,
follow.
I see. I see. I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we don't. No, I don't. I keep kicking that can down the road for. I mean, it could keep going. Generally, we do the sequence for about a year, at a little bit more than a year, but the only reason why I stop it there is so that we don't forget about. So at the end of the sequence, there's a task that gets sent out and says, "Hey, this lead's been in our system for a year. Check to see if where they're at, if they've sold already, and then you can place them into, and then I name the sequence they can put them in to keep it rolling, right?
Yep.
So yeah, we can keep it going forever. So.
Cool. Well, I think there's some great information here that people could go start to do this stuff themselves. Obviously, AI is helping with writing, not that people should rely completely on AI. And I know that you help people do this as well as a service. But if folks want to learn more about you and how you help real estate investors with their follow-up process, where can they go?
Yeah, my site, reiomnidrip.com. They can just check out some samples, a demo there, get in touch with me directly from there, Paul at reiomnidrip.com. Or, they could do it themselves as well if they feel that their time will is if they know what they feel confident enough to do it, they can do it themselves, of course. Um,
It's
but
kind of like the seller that said they're just going to fix it up themselves, right?
right,
If
yeah.
you're listening to this and you know yourself and you're like, yeah,
It's, uh,
most of the stuff I say I'm just gonna do it myself. I don't actually do. Maybe you shouldn't try
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they can exactly. I mean, I say time. I mean, it still takes with ChatGPT. It still takes time to figure that out too. It's
No
not.
doubt.
It's not. It's definitely not a click solution. If you want to if you're a good chat AI prompter and you want to be that as a CEO, as your business, go for it.
Yeah.
But or you can hop in and check out what we're doing here at OmniDrip. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Mike. It's we've talked about being on each other's podcast, but finally doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Good to see you. So, everybody, the money is in the follow up ultimately, and this is about building long term relationships with people, or at least long enough to hopefully get the deal done. Doesn't mean you have to start inviting folks to Christmas parties and things like that, but follow up is an important part of your business. A lot of people will spend a ton of money on their marketing and have a terrible follow up process, which at the end of the day, that's what it's small things like this, relatively small things that really differentiate the people that are crushing it from those that are just kind of getting by. There's just a few things that people are doing a little bit better, and follow up is clearly one of them. So make sure you're on point. If you want to learn more about how Paul's helping people, he's got a great program actually, so you should definitely check him out. But appreciate you guys a ton, and we'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.